American pastor Andrew Brunson is facing up to 35 years in a Turkish prison if convicted of spying. Turkey claims that Brunson conspired with an exiled imam who allegedly orchestrated that 2016 coup. Claims that Brunson vehemently denies. Congressman Mark Walker joins us now. Former pastor himself, he's the chairman of the Republican Study Committee and says he's fighting to get the pastor home. Congressman, thank you so much for weighing in on this tonight, this very important case. What is going on over there?
It's very frightening. You're talking about a gentleman, a wonderful Christian pastor who has lived in Turkey for more than 2 decades, raised a good portion of his family. This is an urgent situation. He has been crammed into a cell that's designed for 8 people. There's 20 other terrorists. He has lost 50 pounds, and I believe what we're trying to do is raise as much awareness that we can create some action steps. We were able to get 75 to 80 signatures even just this afternoon on a letter to the president, continuing to keep the pressure on Erdogan.
Yeah, because I know that the president says he's brought this up before face to face, and also he's been tweeting publicly saying they call him a spy. The president says, but I'm more a spy than he is. He says it's time to get him home to his family. What kind of leverage do we have with Turkey in this situation?
Well, I think we have a lot of leverage. Turkey is one of the 29 NATO countries, but they're acting like an authoritarian regime, a rogue nation here. So I think we need to continue to turn up the pressure and make sure that we're sending a very clear message to Erdogan that we will not tolerate such behavior.
Okay, I want to ask you about another case because we're going to keep an eye on that trial, and some people say it's nothing more than a show trial, but we will watch it and keep up to date on what's going on with Pastor Brunson. I want to ask you about these other Christians and other religious minorities out of Iran. We've reported on this before. Months ago, we were told this was going to be resolved. We had one source saying that close to the administration. So folks know what we're talking about. These folks were in Iran. They went to Austria based on a program that's supposed to get them to the U.S. eventually. They gave up their jobs, their homes. They left everything behind. Now they're trapped in Austria in limbo because now the U.S. State Department will not approve them to come to the U.S. What do you make of this?
Well, I think ultimately, Shannon, our faith should rise above any kind of political posturing here, whether the Christians or not. When people are oppressed or persecuted for their faith, America, the United States of America, has always been the home to even open up their arms to many people. World Vision and other organizations have done a great job working with such refugees. I've spent time in the Syrian refugee camps just kilometers below Syria border itself. Now, most of these refugees would love the opportunity to go back to their homeland. However, for some, specifically in this case, Christian minorities, I believe that we need to continue to put pressure even on our administration that we do need to make some space, even when this vetting process that we've talked about much, now's the time to behave in a way that really opens up our arms.
Well, a bipartisan letter to Vice President Pence, who has been very outspoken on the issue of persecuted minorities, Christians and others. This letter to him says the applicants have reportedly run out of money. Living hand to mouth, the case is reaching a crisis point. As Nina Shea, an international human rights lawyer who directs the Hudson Institute's Center for Religious Freedom, said these deportations, if they get sent back to Iran, could be a death sentence for these persecuted Christians and other minorities. Now, the State Department says, listen, our safety here in the U.S. is the #1 priority. They aren't saying much more about this case, but do you see any movement coming?
We haven't seen any in the last little bit. Vice President Pence is coming to my hometown, Greensboro, this Friday. I look forward to speaking with him about this. Randy Holcomb has also reached out to the Vice President talking about these issues. I know he's very concerned about this situation, but we need to continue. Obviously, Pastor Brunson is an American citizen who's been railroaded in this trial. But for these people who have been persecuted and, as you very eloquently point out, if they return, could face death, and we've seen that in the past. There's a precedent for such. We do need to be acting on the behalf of these refugees as well.
Congressman